So basically what it means is that your body doesn't really process the writing down part of writing well. And it's been described to me as a brain-to-hand disconnect. And when you think about it, writing is pretty complex. And for today, I'm just going to pretend that there's only 3 parts of writing. There's not a lot of stuff that goes into it, but there's the actual physical act of writing things down, which is you have to think about like letters, how to form. The organization, which is grammar, turning what's in your head into cohesive sentences that people can read and understand. And then there's the third part, which is the actual coming up with the idea that you're going to put down on the paper. And so people with dysgraphia struggle with these first 2 parts, which are the writing things down part and the organizing your thoughts in a reasonable manner when they're put on paper. And I should say, I'm going to start this off early on, and say, it doesn't mean you're a bad writer. The writing part, the actual coming up with ideas, coming up with plots and such, is completely separate from dysgraphia. It's the actual putting your thoughts onto the paper. And for example, Agatha Christie, you've heard of her, was a very famous author. So, I think a lot of you who know me know that I have dysgraphia, but I've never really described what it's like before, so bear with me here. So, if I'm thinking about, say, pineapples, there'd be the little thinking here in your head that's spinning around and hooked up to everything else, and it's all running smoothly. Now, if somebody said to me, Connor, write something down about pineapples, what that does is it brings in this very annoying writing gear, which slams into it and starts spinning really fast in the opposite direction. Basically, what happens there is it rips everything to shreds, and there's sparks and metal flying all over the place. And I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what the letter A looks like, and things just get very confusing very quickly. So basically, without the metaphor, what it is by most people in middle school, the actual writing things down and organizing your thoughts is automatic. And for people with dysgraphia, it takes longer or it doesn't really happen at all. So this goes nicely into the next part. I have a little prompt, which is when you have some pencils and paper. So dysgraphia was described to me as, imagine that you stick your hands in a box, cross them over each other, and then write backwards with your left hand. So my challenge to you is, I have a timer up here for 1 minute, and see how much you can write down about what your favorite place is and why in 1 minute, what I was trying to say. And so this really teaches me that when you look at how people, when you listen to somebody speak or when you read some of their writing, it's not always very representational of how they actually think and such. So, what is challenging about scrapping? Expectations. And this is probably the biggest one for me. People expect writing to be easy, and you don't think about what it's like to have the scrappy, what it's like to have to think about what you're writing until you actually do it. And people are like, oh, you just write this down, and they don't realize the thought that I have to put into it. People are very slow at times to comprehend exactly what it means to have a scrappy. And normally the first thing that they notice is my handwriting, and it takes a while for me to tell people that it's actually more than that. It's the actual act of putting my thoughts on the paper that's challenging. People don't realize how many tasks writing is related to. To give you an example, math. And so I have done, for most of my life, I do a lot of math in my head whenever possible, because what happens is if I'm writing things down, I lose my track, and it's just sort of like what you were doing with the paper. Imagine trying to do that and do math calculations at the same time. It doesn't work, and I end up losing my space. And people don't realize these little things that writing is in. And it's really, for any experience for me that involves writing, it can really bring me off track, and it can be challenging. Next slide. So, sort of alluded to this earlier, there is a constant use of writing. A lot of communication now is centered around the writing. Text messages, Facebook, what have you, typing, handwriting, it's not really a huge difference to me. It still can be challenging to actually say what I'm thinking. How people try to figure out if you understand ideas, especially in school, is can you write down a good essay that shows me that you understand the subject? And for me, as I said before, you're not going to get what I think about it. You're not going to get what I want to say. And this can be challenging. And school is really centered around writing. To talk about 5 classes here, we have history. History tests or quizzes normally have a short answer portion. Tests normally have an essay portion, which are both big writing chunks. Same thing for science. Science classes also have short answer questions and essay portions. Both of those are challenging for me. And then moving on to languages. A lot of the way that we're teaching languages right now is you write things down over and over and over again so that it sticks in your head, which can also be challenging. And then math, which I talked a little bit about earlier, all of that writing stuff down when people say write out your work, that can be challenging for me because it moves the benefits would be I don't take notes. And you might be going, that doesn't seem like a good idea. Which for some people